Had I been told that several years ago, when I was still just a boy, that all of this would one day happen to me, and that I would sit alone in my own car outside of a type of restaurant that is in magazines to watch my wife celebrate our anniversary with another man through a glass stained with raindrops, I would have laughed in his face. And I believed I would see, I always told myself. I was the kind of guy that would see the warning signs. The little deception, the slight modification, the hard indifferent guise that comes sneaking through the front door like fog. However, when it was happening to me, I felt that I was walking around in my own life during a sleepwalk, and I did not only realize it in the night that all the things crumbled down. My name is Mark, and I have been married to Lauren during 9 years. We had an introduction that no longer happens. A barbecue at a friend, sunscreen and sweat in the summer air, cup of cheap beer in our hands. She wore this nervous laugh and these blazing blue eyes, the bluest things, almost a bit of the sky. I believed that she was above my weight. Everyone did. She chose me, the boring, average accountant with a safe and boring life and a mortgage. But I do not know why. I needed just simple things: love, security, a family. In the future, maybe a dog. Lauren said that she would like to have those things also, but she was never satisfied with anything. She was always aiming higher. That restlessness I first didn't pay attention to. I deceived myself that the love I had would hold her down. Anniversaries were, I think, even to me more than to her. I cooked steak in our mini kitchen the first year and nearly burnt down our house. In our third year, we visited the mountains. The sixth she forgot, which she compensated by a picnic in the park next day. I said to myself, everyone makes a mistake and forgets at a time. However, by the ninth, I had begun to see the rhythm. Lauren did not forget the date. She just apparently did not care. However, this year I resolved to take things to the extremes. We had fought a lot over work and over her new night shifts with her new friends, her new addiction to social media and influencers and everything that sparkles and just got out of reach. I suspected that some kind of grand gesture would help recreate something, get us out of the abyss. I booked reservations in Barcelona, that type of restaurant with white cloths and $30 appetizers 3 months ahead of time you needed to. I even bought her flowers, sent her favorite cake, and cleaned my car like a high school going to prom. Upon telling Lauren, she appeared distracted. Oh, that is cool, she thought, glanced at her phone, tapped out a message. But need we go out? I am so tired. Why can we not do something at home? I was upset and could not be pushy. We may just remain there. I replied silently, just with a forced smile, but my heart turned a bit. I shall withdraw the booking. Well, tomorrow night say we will, she said, after a considerable hesitation. Tonight I have to go out with Jenna to have some drinks. Remember, it is her birthday. I did not recall. One of the work friendships that Lauren had garnered at her new marketing job, the sort of a co-worker who had a life and thrived on Instagram stories and hashtagged way, and never heard of an end to the rooftop bar or weekend escape. I nodded and mumbled, sure, and saw Lauren gather up her heels and go out into the night, a streak of scent and mission. I missed our anniversary and spent the night on the couch, reheating the pizza left over, watching repeat The Office, and telling myself she would understand. It was only a one-night affair. Tomorrow we might have a holiday. Lauren was chipper the following day, so chipper it almost was suspect. When she came home after work, she hugged me good, told me to wear something nice, and even went ahead to put on that red thing she had not put on since ages. My soul was lifted, foolishly, to hope. Perhaps she had been really tired. Tonight perhaps would be the night everything would be right again. We have gone to the restaurant by car, but as soon as we parked the car, her phone rang, and she looked at it and then at me with a queer look on her face. Just a moment, can you give me a moment, she said, and I could say nothing before she was out. I stood in the car as the rain began to drizzle and make wavy streams down the windshield. It took 5 minutes, then 10. My cell phone vibrated. Hey, why don't you go home? It turns out to be a new plan. I will detail the same later. I was frozen staring at the screen. I replied by sending text messages. Are you fine? Is it possible to discuss? No answer. Then 15 minutes passed away. It rained more intensively. I observed strangers wearing expensive coats, smiling an umbrella against umbrella, into the restaurant. He saw me through the window, and Lauren was sitting at a table by the front window, and her face was lit up with excitement and a smile that I had not seen in months. The man sitting opposite her, I did not know, was somewhat older, had slick hair and a precise suit. I gave myself advice not to jump into the conclusion. Perhaps it was a colleague from work, perhaps this was the boyfriend of Jenna, perhaps I was too paranoid. However, on the inside I did. I could feel it in my stomach before my brain could cognize it. I waited. I could not get myself to drive off. I waited in that parking lot almost 2 hours as the sky grew black and the neon sign in the restaurant hung dark. I had called Lauren. Voicemail. At last I stepped out of the car, with my heart thumping and my legs dead with sitting so long. I entered the restaurant, wet to the skin, still holding my flowers along with me, my tie not straight at all, being the full fool that I was. The hostess stared at me in ladylike bewilderment. Is there anything I can do to you, sir? I am on behalf of Lauren Carter. There is a reservation that she has. I am her husband. I am her. The hostess made a frown. Oh, I do not know. I will check. A waiter came up, a folded check in his hand, before she could have spoken again. Mr. Carter. Are you Mr. Carter? I nodded. Your wife sent me to give thee this, whispered he, and thrust the bill into my hand. It was long check, itemised. The stakes, a bottle, pudding to 2, a larger amount than I could earn in 1 week. At the bottom stood in a handwriting, we shall talk at home. I checked off in the direction of the table where Lauren was seated. She did not see me at all. She was too preoccupied with laughing because of something that her fellow said across the table, touching his hand. The restaurant left me dazed as I held the invoice in my hand and the flowers hanging in other. It was downpouring, but barely did I notice it. My mind was filled with questions that did not make sense. Was it possible to miss it? At what time did I begin to make myself invisible to my own wife? I was driving home, the windshield wipers making, a metronome beat, the city lights racing in a streak. My mobile phone remained firmly quiet. I felt like crying. I wished I could have wailed someone. I merely drove, and one night in I found myself at the park where I first had my picnic with Lauren. I was sitting in the car, looking at the swing set that was empty, and the flowers were already still dying in my hands. By the time that I got back in our drive, Lauren had already been in her car. The house was warmly lit up to taunt me. Another 5 minutes I spent in the car, practicing the words, trying to calm down my shaking hands. You will have shouted. Will I be crying? Was I going to receive some answers? When I opened the front door, I faced Lauren standing in the kitchen washing the dishes, like nothing had occurred. There was a scent of pricey perfume in the air and clashing with the smell of dishwashing soap. She made no sign to look up. I touched her shoulder. I asked, Lauren. Her face was blank, and she turned, drying her hands upon a towel. You are late home. I was looking at her, and the words got choked like in my throat. You invited me to our anniversary dinner, and you did not. Then you bill me. What was the name of that man? She heaved a sigh and raked her hair with her hand. We couldn't it right now, Mark. I'm exhausted. And who was he? I choked. With cold eyes, she looked at me. So what? I replied. Yes. It does. It is the anniversary with Lauren. Or had you forgotten? This was a well-rehearsed eye roll. Nothing, Mark, nothing. It is simply a workplace friend. He has been assisting me in some projects, and things simply got late. I did not feel like arguing with you in front of people, so I requested the waiter to present you the bill. I did not mean to be insensitive about that. I did not want to disbelieve her, but there was something wrong in the way she said it. Detached. As a speed bump to her new life, like I was an inconvenience. We should have spoken. I said. We might have patched it up, I said. Lauren, I stood out there in the car 2 whole hours. I have seen you and heard your laugh with him. You never took a hint to find me out. She shrugged. Nothing. I told you nothing did happen. And easy. Can we drop it? Well, I could, but I could not. I kept at her, eager to get at a weakness in her tale. Every time, she pushed me aside and claimed that I was overreacting, paranoid, insecure. At some point, I relented. I slept alone, and the flowers were still on the kitchen counter. I slept in tears that night and went through every single moment to our marriage. The phone calls we missed, the nights out, the nights we couldn't stay out, the nights we were glued to that phone. I could recollect how she began to lock it, how she used to laugh less with me and more with her new friends, the way she stopped wearing her wedding ring, saying it was a hindrance to her work. Then the next morning, Lauren had disappeared before I woke up. On the table was written, "Going to see Jenna. Dante, keep me waiting." My heart was to believe her. I did indeed. However, somehow a smaller part of me felt that I was lying to myself. Part 3. The breaking apart. The next few days were like a blur. I could not seem to concentrate in work but was distracted. Everything was clumsy, and I could just explode. I began going on checking the social media of Lauren, which I had never done before. All the photos she posted were of her and her friends at a club, in-group humor that I would not get, vague quotes about self-discovery and fresh starts. He, the restaurant man, was growing more and more in evidence, standing now well beside her, his hand on her shoulder. At home, I began observing small details. Receipts of dinners which I had not driven home, fresh outfits that she never wore before, weird purchases off our credit card bills, hotels, ride shares, jewelry shops. I challenged Lauren to them, but she had a justification all the time. Work dinner, a present to a friend. You would not know. The harder I pushed, the further away she was. We talked to logistics only. Rent, groceries, bills. She would not say any more, "I love you." She ceased to glance me in the eye. I began to sleep on the chicken coop and made matters easy by saying that this was a good plan. I waited and waited till well on in the morning, when she might come to me and be forgiven, and I would know the truth. And she never did. One night, after another fight concerning her work friends, I lost it. I cried in a throw pillow, and chest hurt so much I realized I must be dying. It was the first time I cried as a child, and even after the death of my father. This was somehow different. It was a sorrow which was without a funeral, without a closure. One morning I did something I never did before. I followed Lauren. At about 7 a.m., she had said that she had an early appointment and left the house. 5 minutes later, I was driving my car and following her to downtown, feeling my heart pounding my chest. She drove to a posh hotel, went in. I waited and waited an hour, 2. At last she appeared, with the restaurant man in her arm. I was photographing. I do not know why. Perhaps I wanted to testify to myself, or perhaps I had meant to confront her with them after a while. Perhaps I was just searching to have something more concrete to know I was suffering. I brought the photos out to her that night. She did not even flinch. "I am sorry, Mark," she said. "I would not want to make you suffer. I am not able anymore." I looked at her. I waited till she would tell me that it was a mistake, that she had committed a cruel mistake, that she still loved me. Yet instead of doing so, she merely stood looking the image of regret as well as relief. "How long?" and I questioned in a low tone of voice. She sighed. 6 months. 6 months. 6 months of deceit, of being cohabiting with one who is a stranger. I was like the floor had fallen underneath my feet. "How come you failed to tell me?" I whispered. She made a movement of denying it. "I did not want to dress you up. I believe that I can repair it. But the thing is, I am not happy already a long time ago. I believe you must have known that." Well, perhaps I did. Perhaps I did not simply want to admit it. A week later, Lauren went out. I observed how she was packing her things, putting our joint life into small, neat cardboard boxes. She also left a wedding ring on the kitchen table with a note, "I am sorry. Be careful of yourself." The home was totally unable to be without her. The house was full of memories. Her laugh, her cuss word, the low murmur of her favorite music playing in the bathroom during her shower time. I was too incapable of tossing her belongings away. Not just yet. I trod rooms over rooms and was tormented with her absence. People tried. Friends offered sympathy and support. I rejected it. I did not want to speak about it. I did not want to answer questions and listen to advice. I simply wanted to leave me grieve. The most difficult were nights. I could not sleep, thinking about all the arguments, all the chances that I could have taken to mend the damage that happened. I had questions about what I could have said or done that would have made her stay, what I should or could have seen, what I did not realize. But the fact is that there are times in which love is not sufficient. Things are not always like that, and sometimes people may change and there is nothing you can do about it. I began a therapy, but very slowly. I was taught how to forgive myself and forget about the anger and the shame. I began walking long, listened to music, found myself in the world I liked before Lauren. I found new friends and reconstructed my life one day of pain at a time. I cannot say that I can possibly be the same person that I was prior to that night. I am becoming accustomed to the nightmares, to the messed up emotional places. And just in case you are listening to this and you happen to be having something like this, the first thing I want to say is that you are not alone. It does not happen instantly. The building of trust is time-consuming. After some time, though, the pain wears off and you learn to love yourself once again. I would like to thank you that you have listened to me. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel to get more real-life stories like this one, in case you liked it.